Hello there folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss different topics like spirituality. I cover deep introspection, game interpretation, dream analysis and several other topics, but usually deeper introspection and spirituality, presenting different topics and at times coming up with quirky titles. Now this video is gonna be about, well, how to put it, something that I called the portals of madness. Okay, now it might sound actually quirky, and yes, I don't mind presenting things in a, you know, let's call it my own unique way. Now, why I'm saying the portals of madness is, well, if you are aware of the world as is nowadays, okay, you will probably have realized that the world is kind of broken, okay? And if you're waking up, you're probably realizing that the world is actually broken, even if, despite the fact that up till now, most likely you have been believing that you're technically the one who's broken. Okay, which kind of sucks because, well, you're not broken, you're not crazy, we're not crazy, we're just waking up. Now, there are a lot of things happening on the planet: lockdown, cunt virus, whatever you wanna call them. And, I prefer calling it the cunt virus because, well, it's just like a cunt move, okay? Keeping people in lockdown and such. Um, Simply what this does, basically, is we are purging collectively, we are purging a lot of the karma in a very super fast way. Okay, a lot of the karma that we have been creating throughout our history, and as well the karma that we are uh, currently having and we are still currently producing, because we're slaughtering a lot of animals nowadays. We are doing a really lot of things, and, well, based on this, there is a big problem. We're creating new karma, and we have to suffer for that. We have to understand that our own way of life, okay, is no longer sustainable. Not being sustainable, it means that, well, we kind of have to change something or we will be changed, okay? Society is falling, and, well, basically society has fallen. There is no more any society or government and such. All those people who are still asleep, fast asleep in the matrix, they will still be hoping that a system will save them, but there is no system to save anyone, because the system never cared about you and the system has constantly been lying you. Why would you expect the system to simply save you now? There is no savior to come other than yourself. You just have to realize that you have to survive on your own. Okay, you have to understand that uh, we cannot simply count on the system indefinitely. And as other people may have said, well, just prepare for the Walking Dead, because once technology will fail, okay, it might happen, but once that will fail, or if it fails, imagine that if all the social platforms are shut down for several hours, imagine the chaos that will spring once all of those people that are stuck or glued with their faces in their phone, they suddenly realize there is so much more beyond that, and it's actually that which they are running away from. Oh, prepare for all the sociopathy and narcissism that's gonna run amok on the streets. Okay, imagine how much pain and suffering there's gonna be then. Okay, how much shoplifting can happen, and how many hideous things will be done by people who are simply gonna be too terrified. Okay, we're gonna feed a lot of what I call portals of madness. Okay, now what these are, okay, is whatever we are manifesting. Okay, if we are not consciously manifesting, these manifestations come from different sources. Okay, what do I mean? Well, if you are manifesting a certain emotion, okay, it is yours. If you are living unconsciously like most people do, their emotions are simply their creations, or in most situations they are other people's emotions that they simply took upon them, and well, they don't know how to give them away, how to dissipate them, how to actually let them dissipate, so they will simply manifest them. Now, in our history, there have been like humongous amounts of emotions. Okay, imagine like the whole. You, I think you can fill this solar system with how much emotion our ancestors have manifested. Okay, and all these emotions are still being purged nowadays. Okay, how you can feel this is if you're suddenly at a certain time, at any given time. Okay, but at a certain time, it doesn't matter what day it is, what you know month it is. Okay, at a certain time, if we have a certain awkward sensation, okay, a feeling, an emotion that you know for sure it doesn't belong to you, but it is there. It can be one from your ancestors, like I don't know, fear that you are gonna lose your spouse, for example. But the question is, you're not married. Like, why is this fear within me if I'm not even married? Okay, so all these things that you might manifest in awkward situations, they might, but not always, they might be situations, okay, in which these emotions and all this baggage, okay, from even your past lives, okay, because those are still represented in your karma, okay, they are represented in your akashic records, and a lot of those will simply dissipate in time. Most of the situations you won't be conscious, but you might actually catch a glimpse and you will become probably a bit more conscious or a bit less conscious. Okay, you will catch a glimpse of certain of these emotions. You'll probably feel completely enraged at a certain time. You'll probably feel completely blissed out at a certain time because the emotions of the past are simply purging themselves out. But considering that our ancestors, and still today, we are living in control, okay? All this control that people are manifesting, all these insecurities, a very great part of those also belong to the past, okay? Especially unconscious people, they are welcoming those because not doing things consciously, okay, they allow themselves anything else in. The more conscious you are, the less you're going to be affected by external events because you're not going to allow them to influence you. If you are unconscious, you will allow literally everything to shape you. Okay, it's like instead of you're going to be like a fish that is going to be carried away by the current instead of swimming your way wherever you want. Okay, so all these emotions that are going to creep into people more and more, these are going to be becoming a bit more problematic because there are so many unconscious people, and these people will be inviting a lot of the hatred that exists with all this mandatory face masking or mandated governmental muzzles. Okay, uh, the problem is the vibration of humanity may actually drop more and more, so we will become more in tune with the hatred, the repulsion, the rejection, the feelings of uselessness that our ancestors have manifested. To a certain extent, it is good that we are also gonna cure that part of our karmic existence, but the problem is most of the people are not capable or are not compatible with purging those, or in most of the situations it will be too much for them. That is why a lot of the people will simply run amok, and they will run crazy, and they will do all sorts of horrible things just because all this influx of karma from behind that is springing out with all these feelings of uselessness, okay, that people are inducing upon them, because no one wants nowadays to assume responsibility, but everyone wants things done. Well, life doesn't function this way. So all these lies that people are doing, okay, all this running away from your own authenticity, will still keep you at a lower vibration, or not necessarily you, but most people. So the point is, well, if this happens, we have a problem. many of these people won't simply be able to handle this amount of hatred, madness, repulsion, rejection, okay? Every child in the history of our existence who has been rejected by their parents, okay? Each and every second they have been producing fear, insecurities, hatred, rejection, and they have lived with that throughout their life, and they have propagated that on their own children. So think about all the millions of generations that existed before us. Okay, all that has to be purged slowly and surely. And nowadays, with people being locked in their houses, there is so much more time to actually participate in this purging. However, people who are simply stuck in unconscious living, they might actually not like it, and they will probably not be able to hold, okay, together. They won't be able to withstand that much amount, okay? And it's funny that nowadays people think, well, I wonder how my previous lives have been. Well, that is kind of funny in a way, because people can't handle their current life, but they're interested in realizing or catching glimpses of how their previous lives have been. But if you catch a glimpse of how your previous life has been, you're also gonna catch a glimpse of the emotions you felt and the thoughts that you manifested. So I don't think many people can actually withstand that. Okay, if you can't simply control your own life, your current life, well, playing with you know, let's say the Akashic records and things that happened in different other lives, okay, playing with these things, if your psychological dimension is not strong enough, you can actually snap your mind very easily, okay? And this is kind of what happens, okay? A lot of people become more and more negativistic, okay, because what they're doing is they're constantly feeding themselves with the news, with media, narcissism, psychological vampires, emotional vampires, mental vampires, people who simply don't attune to them, people who don't serve them, right? People who don't have a nurturing relation. They just take, and these people who take, they are simply parasitic because their vibration is so low, their thinking is only of lack, and therefore they're inviting so many things into their existence. Therefore, they are lowering their vibration even more. The more they lower their vibration, they are basically becoming portals of madness, because they will vibrate with literally everything of that lower nature. That includes karma that wants to be shed, okay? When you want to purge karma, okay, this is done in ways that, you require a lot of, you know, a lot of preparation. You need a lot of, not necessarily control, I can say, but one needs a lot of, how to say, a very stable emotional state, and a very stable mental state, a very stable psychological state, else they will go insane. If you don't believe me, just look around. Why do you think so many people go insane? The planet is increasing in vibration, as it is said that we are rising towards the fourth and fifth level of consciousness, and this will imply one single thing. People who don't want to embrace this process, they will simply go mad, because the increasing positive energies, they won't be compatible with that. So the problem is they will simply go mad. This can also be seen in many animals, okay, because animals also go through this, and a lot of them, well, animals will actually, a lot of them may actually die, because animals constantly live in their comfort zone. Animals live unconsciously because they live based on survival, and survival means unconsciousness, okay? But to a certain point it is good for them, because that's what they want to experience. So all this being said, okay, these portals of madness, okay, beware them. Okay, these humans, beware them, because what they will be doing is they will be drawing more and more negativity onto them, because we as humans, like any living being, we are batteries of energy. And all these parasites, all these thought forms that have been created throughout our existence, these thought forms are dissipating, but most of these thought forms have been created in thinking of lack, in mentalities of, not having, in mentality of hatred, a mentality in thinking, okay, and focusing on betrayal, hatred, all these lower vibrational aspects that, vibrate somewhat at survival, okay? When you manifest, when you think of survival, when you think of betrayal, for example, betrayal, you think of it because of a survival mechanism of the mind, okay? You've been having some expectations from someone, right? And those expectations were not met when that person simply changed allegiance, or they simply just wanted to go, because you have to understand people come and people go. And people might actually end up feeling betrayed. Now, this betrayal comes from a sense of, entitlement and a sense of expectation. When you know someone, you might end up, egotistically feeling that, they are entitled to you and you are entitled to their help, okay? And a lot of these silly things that we may end up thinking about. Therefore, you might actually grow the, let's say, you might actually end up thinking a lot of expectations, okay? And all these expectations will actually hurt you in time, because if a person simply no longer wants to speak to you just because, it's their time to leave, right? People come into our lives to teach us some things and then they just leave because they're no longer important. Well, that kind of is to a certain extent a problem, okay? Because when people believe they have been betrayed, basically what it is a survival mechanism, okay? They have embraced this fact that that person not necessarily belongs to them, but they know that person, they are comfortable around that person, right? So they are creating a certain relationship, but it's a codependency relationship. Now, relationships, just like marriage, relationships are a thought form, and what you're feeding this thought form will influence you mainly and also the other person, okay? And when a person wants to leave, okay, the one who was the most attached will feel that the most, because that entity, having been fed with a lot of attachment, right, that thought form vibrates at a lower vibration that will be closest to the vibration of survival, so they will want to survive. That fear of death, okay, you will probably feel, okay, it is a conceived psychological death, okay? You believe that if that person leaves your life will be shit, okay? It's just some psychological play that you are having in your mind, and it's nothing else than the result of some expectations and the comfort zone you have been building around. Now, when a relationship is formed, okay, a new thought form is created. People who are loving, they will be feeding this one with a lot of love. If someone is codependent, they will feed that with codependency. Now, people who are lower vibrational, they will always overthink, because they will always be ignorant to a certain extent, and ignorance means that you're not going to invest time in learning that thing. When you don't know a thing, well, you're easily prone to becoming suspicious, okay? Suspicion only triggers because of stupidity, okay? And stupidity means ignorance, because stupidity means not knowing and also vowing to not know. So all this being said, you see there are a lot of layers to this, right? So yeah, all these people vibrate at a lower frequency, and thought forms that vibrate at a lower frequency will simply go to them. These thought forms that have been created out of all sorts of, survival mechanisms of the mind, they will always constantly be thinking about survival, so it's basically they're gonna be parasitic thought forms. because the parasite doesn't care about anything. It's all about its own survival. So these will simply vampirize on the energy of these negativistic people, and that's why they're gonna go insane, because when your energy is constantly being drained, okay, your chakras go really imbalanced, and then one of the reasons why people will go simply insane, okay, they will so-called lose their minds, okay, that is why you're seeing so much increased violence and all sorts of things. To a certain extent, it's actually good that people are forced in their own houses, because if you let loose all these people in the streets, they're probably gonna end up in bloodshed, because that's how low vibrational many people are becoming. Okay, and you'd actually do well to simply prepare yourself for all the negativity that's gonna be, uh, well, let's say more observable in the coming days. Okay, all this desperation, all this hatred, okay, that people are constantly creating, they are transforming themselves in these portals, okay, and these portals of madness will simply allow the madness of their ancestors, okay, to come and try to purge themselves through these people, because being unconscious, they allow much more to go through them. When you purge things consciously, you are allowing them to flow through you, but you're allowing a certain amount, okay? You're not allowing simply a lot of it, okay? Because it's gonna take you just like a flood takes a house, okay? And if you allow a bit of it, of these negative aspects to flow through you, so that they become purged, okay, it will be just like a mini flood, okay, and as a house you will be opening your windows and your door, allowing that flood to simply go through you without doing much harm, okay. That's the point of conscious purging, okay. When you're conscious of things, you can't naturally allow a lot of things to go through you, because you're aware of your thoughts, you're aware of your emotions, right, when you are that open. So as this goes, okay, as this happens, okay, you're much less likely to ruin yourself, because you're no longer poisoning yourself with that. Unconscious people are unfortunately drawing a lot of that negativity onto themselves, okay, even if they are actually purging a lot of it as well. Most likely these people are what I call unstable portals, okay, because to a certain extent they can actually hold, but being unconscious, okay, it means that they don't hold any control over how much it will flow through them, and once they are overflowed, they will simply go nuts. And you will see, if you haven't seen already, you will see how a lot of these people will go cuckoo, okay. There will be a huge outburst of narcissism, and especially sociopathy, okay, all sorts of traumas, especially of childhood, that are gonna burst each and everywhere, okay. People will be just like balloons. They will simply blow their stack. They will simply explode with hatred and whatever, okay. So all this being said, I will wrap this video in here. This was just another little eye-opener, okay. Feel free to view my other videos. I kind of seem to like coming up with these awkward ideas. Feel free to give me your own ideas. If you have questions about introspective things, feel free to ask me, and when I feel ready, I will create a video on that topic as well. If you want to know my point of view on a certain thing, that is, if I can help you with that, feel free to ask me. Feel free to share my content with others, especially if you feel that it's gonna help them. Feel free to share some of your wisdom as well, so that together we can actually help raise the awareness of people. You are loved and appreciated. Take care of yourselves. Become more introspective, and you will see that the answers you've been looking for are simply not far away from you. You are loved and appreciated. Take care. Ferenc on board, signing out.